Yes, thank you guys for being here. We were super excited to be for this meeting, and we're going to do quick attendance. So, Alex.
Here.
Oh, call the meeting to order first.
Oh yeah, sorry guys.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, so it's 4 o'clock, and I'll call this meeting to order. Alex is here. Alyssa.
Here.
Lauren.
Here.
Megan.
Here.
Nick.
Here.
Summer.
Here.
Uma.
Here.
Yep. Yana.
Yeah.
I'm here. Anthony.
Here.
Emanuela. Yeah, I think sure. Yep. Maggie.
Here.
Awesome. Jenna.
Here.
Jenna. Awesome. William.
Here.
Awesome. Amelia.
Here.
Awesome. Ali.
Here.
Awesome. And Thomas.
Here.
Perfect. We are all here. Super exciting. So Anthony, do you want to just read through the minutes from last meeting?
Yeah, of course. So essentially we sort of, the big kind of portion of our meeting was devoted towards a presentation from Benny Wheat from the Human Rights Commission about sort of the process that other school districts have taken for placing their Native American town mascot, and how that could help us in the process that we may be undertaking to do the same thing. And so we kind of had discussion kind of going off of the research and the investigations that she conducted. And we also just had some small discussions about designing a logo for our own youth council individually, and also just talked a little bit about our first committee, the outreach subcommittee that Alyssa, Lauren, and Ali are all, and myself are all part of. And also we just talked a little bit about updates from the liaison positions and certain presentations that we are organizing for those liaisons today. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Anthony. And do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
I motion.
Summer, thank you. Here, second.
I second.
I second.
Awesome. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Awesome. All opposed, say nay. Awesome. Passed unanimously. And I do see the people from the public here for the first time ever, which is super, super exciting. If you would just introduce yourself with your name and your pronouns, love to hear from you. So whoever wants to go first. I think Haley, you want to go first?
Sure thing. So my name is Haley Dodge. I prefer to go by she or her, but whatever, I'm cool with as well. I graduated from Wakefield High School in 2009, so it's nice to see all of you guys so young.
Awesome. So if you just want to do you have anything you want to say at all about the mascot or anything in particular?
Sure thing. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the mascot has always been offensive in my eyes. I just sort of feel like now we're in a place nationally to be able to be heard and make a difference about it. There are a lot of injustices that we as a nation do to Indigenous peoples and have done in the past. And I feel like mascots are just one of them. So this is sort of how I found you guys, and how, I want to be able to help. I've reached out, done some research with some local Indigenous groups. I have quotes from them basically detailing how they feel about the Wakefield Warriors logo, and can basically share my knowledge at this point.
Thank you. Yeah, we would love to hear any of those quotes or anything, because we want to make sure, as we are a majority white body, we want to make sure we hear from all backgrounds, especially Indigenous folks, with this issue is very prevalent in their community.
Yeah. I mean, their voice is definitely the most prominent one. If you guys are willing, I can read a couple of quotes right now, if you guys would like.
Yeah, that sounds great. Is everyone okay with that? I think we're good. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So I'll start with a quote from Denise Pouliot and Paul Pouliot of the Abenaki people. They're located in New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire. And with regards to the Wakefield Warrior logo in particular, they say, this logo ranks up there with some of the most inappropriate logos that we have seen. The headdress is a stereotypical war bonnet from a Western Plains tribe, and the grimacing, ugly war face is not representative of whom we are as Indigenous people in New England. In summary, there is no honoring us as people with this logo. And the other quote that I have is from a woman. Her name is Brittany Wally. She's from Nipmuc Nation, which is in Grafton, Massachusetts. And she says, "Using Indigenous peoples as mascots is dehumanizing. This is not a new or novel idea at this point. It is an obvious fact. My sincerest belief is that the concept of using Indigenous peoples as mascots should already be a non-issue. It is frustrating to know that countless tribal members before me have already made it abundantly clear that it is unacceptable, and yet the issue has not been resolved."
Thank you
Yep.
very much for all that. And I see you also have Colleen, if you want to introduce yourself and if you have anything you want to say.
Hi, everybody. My name is Colleen Guida, and I am a school committee member. And I also have now 3 boys in the Wakefield Public Schools. One has graduated and is at UMass now as a junior. So this is an ongoing conversation that's come before the school committee and obviously in our community. So it's hopefully, I mean, it was hoped to be on our agenda before now. And as you know, we've been preoccupied with reopening our schools. So I hope that you don't think it's not a priority, because it absolutely is, but we want to get you guys back into school safely and in the best way possible. So that's our priority right now. And then we do good work from there. But this is, first of all, congratulations to all of you for being a part of such a council. I think it's so important that you represent our community in the way that you are. These conversations that we're having are important, and you really make strides in change in these conversations that you're having. So I felt it was really important to, even though we haven't been able to put this on our agenda yet, to listen to what you have to say. And also Haley reached out to us, and a number of other people have reached out to the school committee members and the superintendent and administration. So I felt like it was great opportunity to connect Haley with your group, because I felt like she had some great information that all of you may have heard or not. But I feel like this conversation needs to happen, right? And so that when we do, we are able to put this item on our agenda, your conversation has happened, you have gathered input from your peers, and it's definitely something that we need to listen to, you know, and I think, you know, the administration highly regards our student opinion. It's the most important opinion as far as we're concerned. So I'm excited that when we get to this place of conversation and agenda item, that this is already taking place. So just congratulations again for stepping up into this role and for taking on these very challenging topics. I think it's you can sort of be a model for even the adults in our community about how to have accountable conversation. And I think we can all use some of that modeling. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, we really appreciate the town's commitment to make sure that our young people's voices are heard, especially this is our town. We are growing up into the future of Massachusetts and Wakefield. And so it's important to make sure all voices are heard, which is why we're all here, which is super exciting. So thank you guys for talking. Is there anyone else probably want to speak? I don't see anyone. Awesome. So now we're going to move on to a presentation from Yana and Lauren. They made an awesome presentation about the origin of the logo and the town people, from young people in the town's opinion. So I'm going to share my screen to get going. Can you guys
All right,
see this?
so yeah, it's
awesome.
good. So like Jack said, Yana and I worked on this presentation, just to kind of talk about the history of the logo, and represent both sides of the opinions that we've received and found out about. So you can go to the next slide. Yana will start off.
All right, first let's take a look at the history. So I made a little brief history about North America and Native Americans. So it started in like 1492, Columbus arrives, introduces disease and slavery to Taino. Then in 1775, birth of the U.S., millions of Native Americans died as a result of disease and colonial warfare. 1803, Louisiana Purchase, U.S. obtains large portion of Western land in North America. 1851, Indiana Appropriations Act established modern reservation system. In 1860 to 1865, Civil War, many from Western territories joined the Union Army to fight Native Americans. 1876, the Battle of Little Bighorn, Sitting Bull's forces defeat of Alta Colonel George Custer. 1887, Dawes Act law attempts to get Native Americans to assimilate into European American culture. 1890, the Wounded Knee was the last army led massacre of Native Americans on the U.S. soil. And then in 1962, Native Americans gained the right to vote in all 50 states. And then a common stereotype of Native Americans, white Americans in early 20th century discriminated against Native Americans, portraying them as poor, violent, and uncivilized barbarians. They did this to justify massacres and assimilation practices and the forced reservation system that took Native American land.
So an example of this would be Chief Joseph of the, I looked up how to say this name and I totally forget how to say it, so I'm going to try my best. The Nimpu tribe. He was really known for his civility, and he's a really good example of someone who white Americans considered to be a noble savage. There's a lot of information here, so I'm just going to summarize it best I can. So he tried to lead his people to Canada, but then the U.S. Army forced them to surrender in Montana. And then after some of his people were killed, the rest were sent to the Indian Territory, where many died from diseases. That tribe was then sent to Washington State in 1885, where Chief Joseph died 19 years later, and he was heavily romanticized as a survivor of the former American West. So this is the history of the Wakefield Warrior logo. Leonard Baird, who is a member of a Native American family in Wakefield, he named the Wakefield Warriors and the Saugus Sachems in 1947. And then General John Galvin, who the Galvin Middle School is named after, he designed the first warrior logo for Wakefield, and that's in the bottom left of the screen. So these are the common thoughts and opinions. Aren't we portraying Native Americans in a positive way?
So on the no side, prime example of romanticized view of Native Americans, the fictionalizing them as cartoon images instead of recognizing that they were real people who suffered tremendously and lost their lives, homes, and way of life. Harmful stereotyping to characterize Native Americans as noble savages implies that they are outside the bounds of civilized society. This stereotype was used to justify subjugation of Native Americans to civilize the New World.
And some people may say that we are portraying them in a positive way because using them as a mascot or as a logo represents how strong they are, and it's an opportunity for the Native Americans to be honored. So the next one is, why does it matter today?
So it does matter because Native Americans are not being treated equally today. They remain affected by the past history of discrimination and are one of the poorest minority groups.
And some people may say that it doesn't matter because they're being honored as they should have been back then. Some people may say it's just the logo.
So to disagree with this, the logo does not fully represent the history and struggles of the Native Americans. It perpetrates a harmful stereotype instead.
And to agree with this statement, Native Americans are not being made fun of or targeted, and the logo has been a tradition of Wakefield for many years, and it shouldn't change. So I believe that is it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren and Yana, for putting that together. It's important to get a full grasp of the history of mascot and Native American struggles, especially since the colonizers arrived back in the 16th century, 15th century actually. So thank you guys. And Alyssa actually put out some stuff on our Instagram and Lauren stuff on our Facebook. And Alyssa had a list of statements she wanted to read from people that are anonymous on why they say we should either keep it or change it in some way.
There's kind of a lot of them. I can read them all if you want, but I can just share the screen and people can look at them if that works too.
Yeah, whatever you want.
All right.
Maybe Alyssa, you could share the most common that you heard.
Yeah. So for people who don't think the logo should be changed, there was only 2 responses actually that we got. And the first one basically said that they didn't think that the logo was offensive because it wasn't overly stereotypical imagery, or it wasn't derogatory terms, and they used the Redskins and the Cleveland Indians as an example. And they also said that it's a way to honor Native Americans and try to be respectful to them. And the second one also mentioned the Redskins logo, saying that they didn't think it was discriminatory or racist in that manner, but also honoring them. That this person also pointed out that by changing the logo and changing it to something that might more resemble a soldier or a knight, it could promote that white people are stronger. And they also pointed out that the skin of the logo, the warrior in the logo, is white, which I thought was something interesting. And they also pointed out that they personally don't think a lot of kids believe that the logo is making fun of people. And a lot of people who voted to change the logo and gave us a statement said that they think that a lot of people might believe that they're honoring Native Americans, but pointed out that white students wear a headdress at football games as a mascot, which is insulting to members of Indigenous tribes, or at least they think it would be insulting to them. They also pointed out that we live on stolen land, that they were here before us. Some people said that they don't think any race should be a mascot, and some people mentioned education and how the discrimination against Native Americans is not talked about until you get to high school. So that's really the major themes that occurred. I will stop sharing now. If anybody wants me to read any specific statements, I will, but those are pretty much the major themes from both groups.
I also put the results from the survey that when we posted the link on that doc, Alyssa, in case you want to read those, just so we can see what people said.
Yeah.
It's towards the bottom.
Okay, it's the next page. All right, so I read through some of these and it was kind of the same thing. Some people talked about how it's a mostly white town, that there's not a lot of Native American roots in the town, and they thought that it was a little weird that there would be somebody of a different culture representing or being a mascot for a predominantly white town. And the themes were kind of the same as the longer responses. pushing stereotypes and cultural appropriation through the headdress. There was a good number of people who said that they didn't think they were in a position to decide if it was offensive or not because they're not members of the Native American community. Yeah, so we did get overwhelming support to change the logo. There were people who obviously wanted to keep it, which is also okay. And a lot of those people said that it was like a good way to honor people or like Native Americans that might have been in Wakefield before. So, yeah. There's that.
Thank you, Alyssa and Lauren, for that. So I think we have gotten a large portion of people we feel to talk about it. I think there's like 65 or 70 responses in the survey, which is awesome. I think
that's great, guys. Everyone, nice job getting that community outreach done and getting the feedback from your peers. I know it's not easy in the summertime and during a pandemic, so I really commend you for that effort.
Yes. Thank you, Alyssa and Lauren, for pushing that, and like everyone posting other stories and stuff. So I think we've gotten a really large overwhelming response on that. And I think if we think about this and we wait till the next meeting, we might be able to have a vote on this soon. I think we should all just be thinking about all of this, and maybe Haley can reach out to her contacts, and maybe they'll be coming to our next meeting or whatever. I think if we hold on, we reflect on all we've heard from their presentation to all the responses from the community, we can vote on saying, do you recommend, keep, or change? So thank you guys so much for all the work and effort. It's really awesome. So yeah. And
do we want to have a discussion, Jeff?
Oh, we got a discussion too. I know we had a few discussions on this, but does anyone have any points they want to talk about that they've seen through the presentation or from public comments or the survey? Megan, yeah, go ahead.
I think the surveys were really interesting because I never thought about how offensive like the people at the football games could be when they like put the headdress on or something. I always just thought it was like a normal thing, and I think a lot of people are like that. We don't really have the need to connect it to anything not normal because we've known it for so long. But like you guys were saying, in the end, it's really not our decision. Like, we can't decide if it's offensive or not because we're not in their shoes. So all we can really do is listen to them and hear what they have to say. And we have to respect what other people say because we do have the power to change this, but it shouldn't be what we think because we're not in their shoes.
Thank you, Megan. Maggie?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Megan says. I feel that kids our age, or sometimes even adults, don't realize it's offensive because it doesn't offend them, and they won't realize it's offensive unless someone brings it up, which is why I feel like we really need to do this now before it gets forgotten about again and kids keep doing stuff that is offensive, like wearing the headdresses, or I don't know, like any other examples, because I don't go to football games because I'm antisocial. But I feel that I definitely think this should be addressed now, because I feel like if we try and do it again next year, it's not going to have as much of a push, and it's going to be harder to get it done then than it is to get it done now.
Thank you, Maggie. Lauren?
Yeah, so I was just looking at the results of the survey, and most people did not think, it's actually 50% did not think that we should change anything, like the logo or the name or whatever. So I just wanted to share that. And then I also wanted to share a thought that I had, that kind of through the process of doing the presentation and making the survey, I obviously had to educate myself on both sides. and I think if we do vote, I mean, obviously, like, I can't tell people what to do, but I think if we do vote, try to educate yourself before, because I certainly learned a lot of things about the topic that really shifted. I mean, before I was just kind of like, well, it doesn't affect me, but if it's affecting other people, then I think we should change it. But now I'm definitely for changing it. So I would just say consider educating and everything like that.
Thank you, Lauren. I know Emmanuel wants to speak next. And Anthony, you can go after.
Yeah, so regarding the survey, like when he showed it, I also saw like the negative answers. Then what I realized from them is that like most of them either mentioned that like it wasn't offensive or that like people were being sensitive. And the thing about that is that, I mean, I can't really know. Did you, for the surveys, did you like ask like race or ethnicity for any of the questions?
I didn't. So I only asked the age, just because I wanted it to stay as anonymous as possible so people could really feel comfortable. So I asked for age, the school, if they were offended by the logo, if they were offended by the term warrior, and if they think we should change the logo, the name, both or neither. And then I gave a little box for them to provide reasoning for what they answered.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so what I noticed from like the negative ones, I can't really say that a person isn't a Native American or not by their answers, but like I'm assuming just because of the general population of our town that, you know, majority of the answers that were probably negative weren't coming from Native Americans. And so for a person to say that something isn't offensive to another group without being a part of that group also just adds the fact of like just them not knowing another person's perspective. And so from there, it just causes me to think, oh, why did they think that? You know, maybe because they don't have someone telling them otherwise. And so that's where like people also like to come up with like negative connotations because they're like, oh, I don't know, I don't experience it. So, you know, I don't really think that it doesn't make a big of a deal. Whereas like another person, as you mentioned, like Haley mentioned, like she got these reviews from all these people. She got these quotes from people mentioning that it's not a good thing to have this logo kept. And so from there, it just causes you to think, oh, maybe something's up, you know?
Yes, thank you, Manuela. Then Anthony, and then Amelia.
Yeah, so I found it interesting. I didn't know, and if you don't, Loriana, it's perfectly fine. I just found it interesting if you had any more information about sort of the origin of the symbol. I just found it interesting that there was a member of a Native American family that created the name, but then General Gavin was the one who created the symbol. I don't know if you just had any more information on that. I found it interesting.
Yeah, I did too. So I got that Mark Sardella wrote an article in the Item about it, and then he has a website too. We can share the presentation with you, and I linked it in the sources slide. So it should be pretty easy to find, but there is more information on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Amelia?
I've seen a lot of people saying that people are just being sensitive or that it's not actually offensive, but a lot of these people aren't Native American. They don't have that background, and a lot of them haven't dealt with an experience like that. And I don't think they can really say that that isn't offensive if they aren't dealing with that personally. I also think if you see a lot of other mascots and logos for teams and things, a lot of them are things like animals, like wildcats or bobcats or lions. And ours is the Warriors. It's a Native American. So I feel like it's kind of dehumanizing them, almost portraying them as animals. And yeah, I can see how that is offensive.
Thank you, Amelia. Does anyone else want to speak? Alyssa, yeah.
Something I just found interesting was from the presentation Lauren and Yana put together, was that the logo and the name were created in 1947, but Natives didn't gain the right to vote in all the states until it was like sometime in the 60s, right? Was it 62? I think. But I just thought that's something really interesting to point out because I think it's really, really vital to recognize how oppressed Native Americans were. So it's not like now some actions have been taken to kind of like make it right, if you want to put it that way, but it obviously hasn't been enough. But I just think it's interesting to point that out. So it's not like it was even after, you could say, like the discrimination was lessened or whatever, or like something like that. I just think that's something really important that we should think about.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else want to speak on this
I
topic?
just have one more thought.
Yes.
I know for middle school, it's the Galvin Generals, but I also think that all of the middle schoolers have a really important voice in this because most of us, I feel like, are going to be graduating soon, which is terrifying actually. But as the middle schoolers, I think you guys have such an important voice because you're coming up to the high school and going to, if this does change, going to be experiencing it. And so don't be afraid to, like, let us know what you think. I know it can be scary in these meetings with all the high schoolers and everything, but we do want to hear what you have to say.
On the note, Jenna wants to speak on that. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, I just noticed that a lot of people said that they think the logo should be changed but not the name. And I was just like wondering like how you would change the logo but keep the name so it's still not offensive, because I was thinking and I couldn't think of a way to change it and not the name.
Lauren, Alyssa, Yana, just want to answer that from your research.
I can go. In one of the responses somebody sent, they did mention that if it was changed, it would probably be changed something in the likeness of a soldier or a knight. So I know that's a possibility. They're like Stoneham is like the Spartans, so I mean it could end up being something like that. But it's really just a matter of what students in the community want to support if it does come to the logo being changed.
Yeah, and I think if we do vote something, it would be more important and to change the logo in general. I think that will be on our vote next time. Some motions to that to be more likely to change the logo than the name, but that is all up to the school committee eventually. This is all just our recommendation, our gathering of youth support and like youth comments. It's ultimately up to the school committee and superintendent on how they want to go about the issue. But yeah. Anyone else want to speak? Yeah, Colleen, you're on the school committee, right? Yes. So.
Yeah. Lauren, I had a question. So you said 50% said don't change the name or the logo. So do you have a percentage of change the logo, kind of from what Jenna just said, change the logo, but okay keeping the name? Do you have a number around that?
Yeah, I do. So these are all like approximate because we got some other answers that were thrown in there that kind of threw off all the numbers. Sure. So 37.9% said just change the logo. No one said to change the name. 9.1% of people that responded to the survey said that we should change both, and then 50% said that we should change neither of them.
Okay, great. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and we can share this with you as well.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yes, and there are a few other responses that like kind of threw off stuff, but I would say it's about 50-50, approximately.
I'm just wondering, Lauren, in my mind, when we first brought this subject up, how a lot of people really didn't have an opinion, or some people said, yeah, you could, I don't see a big deal. And after being educated, how that would change some people's opinions. So that would be the big thing. And my other question was for Haley. Haley, would the youth be able to use those quotes in maybe enhancing that presentation that Yana and Lauren put together?
Absolutely. Whenever I reached out to them, I asked them if I could, disseminate it to anybody that I wanted to, and they basically said absolutely. They sent me a bunch of open letters as well that, I can definitely share with you guys. as well as some other research just to help educate, just to sort of spread awareness on how the Indigenous peoples in our area actually do feel.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I will send out an email later today or tomorrow with all the stuff, the presentation, stuff from the survey and all that to all of you guys, so you'll have the information too. But anyone else want to speak on this issue? Yeah, Colleen, you want to go again?
Yeah, just on what Catherine just pointed out, do you have any intentions on educating, not only, I mean, you're educating your peers, sort of just giving them information so that people can make educated decisions, but what about the larger community?
Totally. So I think what we're doing right now is we're educating ourselves, and then if we do vote to do something, we will put out information on all our social medias about that. We're also going to be like the bathrooms and all that around the schools, so we're educating our peers as well. But I think it's gonna be a larger topic in general, talking about educating the general public, because kind of our reach as a committee and a council is mainly our peers and young people. I think it's also important for like the town council and school committee in general to educate families and like everyone in the town in general. Make sure like they understand, oh yeah, Native Americans, Indigenous people were murdered by the millions, and they didn't get the right to vote in 1962, and all these issues that kind of whitewashed in our U.S. history classes in general. I think it'd be a larger topic of a discussion about how we want to go about education in the community.
We could also reach out to our Human Rights Commission. We're sort of in the midst of reappointing right now, but I'm the liaison from the school committee to the Human Rights Commission. So that might be another group that we could bridge, sort of, definitely understand how, you're trying to focus on educating your peers, but how to bridge your work with the community's work, and then HRC might be a good place to do that.
But we had some HRC come last time, and Yana is our liaison to the HRC. So Yana, you want to say something?
Oh, good, Yana. Excellent.
Sorry, what was your question?
You're the liaison to HRC. So have you guys heard? And we had someone last meeting come, but
and that's actually how this all got started. Is Yana attended an HRC meeting, out about this and brought it to the youth council. So this is how.
Oh, good. Okay, I wasn't aware. Thank you.
Yeah, no, a lot of people weren't. So that's one of the reasons we have youth as liaisons on all the different town committees, is that they can bring youth-centered issues to the youth council.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Awesome. Anyone else want to talk on this? Any of our middle school members? We had some, but I want to make sure you guys are still talking and your voice to her as well. Okay, I don't see anyone else. Sorry, I mean myself. But thank you guys for talking with us. And next we have a presentation from Nick on how he's been talking with the police department and the deputy police chief. So Nick, I think you can screen share.
Oh, Jack, can I just ask one thing?
Totally.
So just to clarify for next steps, at the next meeting, you all would like to vote on the youth council's kind of motion to move forward on this?
I think next
anyone
week,
can.
Yeah, anyone to speak on this, but what I was kind of envisioning was next week we would vote upon the council recommendation to the school committee on whether we believe that we should change the logo, and after that we would write up something, put in the paper, release it on our social medias, and then we'd also talk about next steps after that vote if it was motioned at the meeting afterwards. You kind of get what we're talking about.
Does that make sense to you, Mrs. Guida? Colleen, do you think that would be the best way to go about it?
No, absolutely. I think the process that we use in school committee is when you have a decision like this, you lay it on the table for an amount of time, could be 2 weeks till your next meeting, so that people have an opportunity to, like you said, just educate themselves and come to an informed decision. And then you, as a group, present your decision. I would imagine that, when it's on the agenda, I would hope that we would invite your members to that meeting, and that you would present your decision, to the school committee, along with hopefully other groups as well, so that the community has a wide, breadth of opinion. Does that make sense? Is that what you're asking, Catherine?
Yeah. Since this council is so new, that we're kind of, looking to advice on the best steps to take, the youth are, in order to move things forward. So that's great. That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. And yeah, I think it's really important for us in the email I'm going to send you guys later with the presentation and all the stuff from the surveys. We educate ourselves, come to an informed decision. Then later we will vote. If it is motioned, we will vote next meeting.
So just to clarify, Jack, you're going to send the survey results to everyone so they'll be able to read everything? Great.
Everyone get the link for the presentation and all the survey results and the doc list it has with all the stuff. Everyone will be getting that. And so is everyone clear on all that before we move on? Yep.
I just want to thank Haley for coming to our meeting.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you both for coming.
Very helpful.
Yes, it was really helpful to hear from everyone. So
thank you guys for inviting me. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say thank you. I think you guys are doing amazing work. The discussion points that you have brought up have really been discussion points that have been brought up for years, and you guys are hitting it right on the head of both the pros and the cons, and I think it's great work that you guys are doing.
Yes, thank you so much. It's really important. But everyone's clear on everything, and we'll move on, correct? Awesome. Yes. Okay, so next, now, Nick, if you want to share your screen for your presentation, or you can just talk, whatever you want.
I'll share my screen.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so this is just a quick presentation I put together, recapping the Q&A that I had with the Deputy Chief of Police on August 11th. So it was a Q&A. The first question I asked him was, with the town and state approval, what do you plan to use the expansion of the police department building for? So he responded with the town and state approval, the Wakefield Police Department plans to dedicate the expansion of the building to additional storage purposes, extra offices, meeting rooms, bigger locker rooms, and offices for more social workers are among the options that could be put in the building. And the police department as a whole are very excited for the renovations that are going to take place in the future. He noted that many of the rooms are very cramped. They have to overpack rooms for meetings and things like that. The second question that I asked him was, how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your department as a whole, and how has it affected how you do your job? He responded with the COVID-19 guidelines are always enforced when any officer steps foot in the building. The building use overall is limited. They try and go in the building not that much. Roll call is completed virtually from police cruisers, and the police have tried to limit walking complaints. They try to take more phone calls to limit access in the building. The police are provided with proper protective equipment such as face shields, and the same officers are assigned to the same cruisers. And they also get help from the health department from the state. They stay in touch with the police and notifies the police department of test results. So if they ever have to respond to a call, they'll know if anyone on site has tested positive or negative, so they can respond accordingly. My third question was, how has the Black Lives Matter movement affected how you and other officers do your job and how you respond to calls? So he said the Wakefield Police Department as a whole has had a very good reputation of dealing with situations in a peaceful manner. They try and do that as much as possible. There's been no excessive force complaints filed against the police for at least the past year. I don't think there's been much at all in the history of the police department. And he noted that humans can't be perfect, but the way officers can become better as a department is to just properly educate and train themselves to handle any kind of situation. And for additional updates, the Wakefield Police Department has hired a new resource officer that's going to work alongside Officer Skillings at the high school. I haven't met him yet, but in my next meeting with the deputy chief, I think I'll meet him, so I'm excited to do that. And they have a website at wakefieldpd.org where you can directly contact the police, file reports, access applications and forms, and have any types of questions on anything answered. And that's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick, for that. Does anyone have any questions for Nick about what he's talked about or what we want him to ask the police chief, deputy police chief, at his next meeting with him and the new resource officer? Anything they want to talk to Nick about? No, I can see Catherine knows anything.
No, I just thought that was great, Nick, and I love that, you know, that this liaison piece is really working with the police department, and especially with the new SRO coming on at the high school. Maybe you would like to invite him, I think it's a him, to the next meeting, and maybe Officer Kelly too, or to
It is a him. Yeah, I can do that.
Or, you know, maybe an upcoming meeting at some point, just to kind of meet the youth council and
yeah,
the youth council is a sounding board if they're ever, you know, have any questions.
Yeah, next time I meet with them, I'll work on that.
Great,
awesome.
Great presentation though. Thank you.
It was great. Thank you. So next, I just want to go generally updates. Any updates from their committees or the commissions they're working with? Anyone?
Can we see by a show of hands anyone that's met with their committee or department or talked to someone in the last few weeks? We got zero.
Got zero.
Oh, Ali.
Uma and Ali.
And Ali. Oh, okay, Uma and Ali. Maybe we can just have quick couple sentence updates.
Oh, Yana too. Awesome. So, oh yeah, don't go.
Yeah, so I have had a couple of meetings with the Conservation Commission since the last time, since I did my presentation. So we've been doing more properties, more of the DEP files when we're reviewing those, and especially 50 Quantico Parkway. We've been working a lot on that, so.
Awesome.
So, and just a reminder, because Ollie with the Conservation Commission and some of the other departments, Planning Board, I know William's on here, those meetings can go on really long. So as liaisons, you all don't have to attend every meeting, just staying in touch. But if you're fascinated with what's going on with the Conservation Commission or whatever your liaison role is, you're more than welcome to. I just want to remind you
yes.
that you have to be on 4-hour meetings twice a month.
Yes.
Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you, Ollie.
Welcome.
Yes. Yana, your hand is raised. And then Uma, you can go after Ella.
Yeah, so we just had a meeting a little over a week ago, and I've been working on with them and with Sherry. I mean, not Sherry. Oh, I forgot her name. That's not good. But hold on, it's gonna come to me. Then she actually has all this photography skills, so she's been able to take pictures of the artwork that I have done, and then I just got it like approved by the whole committee, and so then now they're going to be in downtown businesses, and so and like in windows. So like every couple months, it's a new piece of artwork that I've done to spread diversity.
That's amazing.
That's it. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really exciting. That was just share that with us and let us know when they're up and where they're going. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I think that we're going to give them to every town. I mean, not every town, every business in the town. And we're going to try and have them put it up. I don't know how many will, but hopefully a lot to agree with it. And hopefully soon, because we just got them printed. So
Awesome. That's amazing. Thank you, Yana.
It is Shari Ogan. I don't know why I blanked on the name.
Uma, you want to go next?
Yeah, hi. So my meeting was very short. In fact, it had to be cut short, and we rescheduled it for next week. But basically, the environmental sustainability is a group that works towards making Wakefield the healthiest town it can be for the environment. Yeah, so my next meeting is in a week, and I can tell you more about the next meeting. But there's also a meeting for the Environmental Sustainability Committee tomorrow from 7 to 8 if anybody wants to go.
Awesome, thank you, Uma. And we would love for you to make a little presentation of what you've learned from the past meetings or two, whatever you're going to go to for our next meeting. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So I should have that be ready for next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome, thank you. So does anyone else have any updates from their liaison positions? Not that I see of. But I heard that there's a subcommittee meeting this week. I got a Zoom link. So I think that's the, right, Anthony?
Yes, tomorrow at 4.
Awesome. Oh, I see Jenna has her hand raised. Jenna, you have something to say?
Yeah, so last time me and Lauren has prepared a presentation just on like information from the school reopening from the school committee. I don't know if you want us to share it, but
Did we see that last time or is that a new one you made?
we made it last time, but we didn't share it.
Oh, Lauren, do you
Yeah, we can I mean, we haven't met with the school committee just because obviously they're very busy and we don't want to add on to any stress. But hopefully we can meet with them soon and then we can kind of present on the school reopening and then what we've learned. But we can do that whenever.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, totally. Whenever you guys have a chance, Lauren, just want to email me if you want that to be put on the agenda. That'd be awesome. Whenever you guys meet. But amazing. Does anyone else have any updates on their liaison positions? Anyone else?
Can anyone let me know? I know, Jack, we sent an email for your liaison. Anyone else been having a hard time connecting with your committee? Or, okay, Summer.
So I'm gonna email Ed Dombrowski and I'm gonna CC you on it. Just say like, hey, when's the next meeting I can attend?
Okay, that's great. And what's exciting too is our town is actually hiring a new planner and economic development person that they're in the interview process with right now. So that's actually going to be a person that will put both you and William in touch with as well, because they're going to be doing both the downtown, but also like planning in general. So that can be another connection because they're going to definitely want to hear the perspective from young people.
Yes, awesome. So if we have no more updates, we want to turn our next meeting date. Let me pull up my handy dandy calendar. So month. So it would be on September 30th at 4 p.m. Does that work for everyone? That is a week after the SATs, the desired date. September 30th. It's awesome.
Well, we don't know if we don't.
Wait, do we know anything about fall sports
schedules yet?
Are those happening? Question mark.
I know swim and volleyball got pushed to fall 2. So I don't know how the other sports practices are going to function, but there's 2 less sports to worry about now.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard that practices. Oh, my bad. I was going to say, I heard from the MIAA that they plan to have up to 3 practices during the week. That's depending on coaches and all that. And I think games are going to be on weekends. That's for certain sports, specifically Saturday.
Yeah, all the games are going to be on Saturdays. I do know that.
I know, Clint, you had a raised hand. Did you have like any updates from school committee?
Okay. Spot on, you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's going to be less practices, right? Normally you guys would practice almost daily after school. So I believe Nick, like you were saying, 3 practices, and then sub-varsity, which must be a new term, but sub-varsity practice twice a week, games on Saturdays, and
Yeah.
so I'm not sure how that would impact your 4 o'clock time slot. We're hopeful that at September 30th, we might be hybrid also. Fingers crossed, right? But yeah, so far, and like Alyssa said about the fall too, those sports were moved. So it's girls and boys soccer, field hockey, and cross country.
Golf, cross country, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys play? Any of you guys play those sports?
I play volleyball. It's been moved to February.
Okay. Nick, are you
I play soccer.
Soccer. Cool.
I think I should be fine though with 4 o'clock.
Okay, if you just when you guys get back to school, if you just let me know. I can always send an email and ask people need to change if people need to be changed. That's also totally good. So
okay.
From what I can tell, cross country is the same time as usual, but that usually goes for a while, so that might be an issue. We'll find out.
Oh yeah, totally. Just let me know if when you guys get your practice schedule, because it can always be changed. Make sure we accommodate majority of people.
Yeah, we could always move to later in the day or early.
Mm-hmm. Yes, totally. Yeah, so right now for temporarily just playing on September 30th, 4 p.m., but that can always be changed if we get practice schedules that have to be, we can move things around. Awesome. And so anything else we need to talk about? Presentation wise, we have, I think it was Uma was going to present next meeting on her liaison position. Anyone else? We don't have a meeting, but by that next meeting date with their liaisons. If not, we can plan on Uma. But I think anything else would be cool. We have like the subcommittee have a little presentation on what they have in that meeting, and like what's going on next. If you guys want to make that too.
Yeah, I think we do something small just on like how that meeting went, what's going to be tomorrow, and what we're doing for the future for sure.
Yes, awesome. That would be great. And next meeting, plan on educating yourself and plan on hopefully selling motions for a vote on the mascot. So make sure everyone's reading the email I sent, reading all the emails I send, and educating fully on the issue. But yeah. Anything else we need to talk about, or we can end this meeting? Anything else we need to talk about? No, Catherine, do you have anything you want to say? No? Awesome. Okay, do I hear a motion to end the meeting?
I motion.
Awesome. Thank you, Maggie. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Awesome. All in favor, say aye.
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 Awesome. All opposed, say nay. Perfect. Passed unanimously. It's awesome to see you guys. And just check out, make sure to watch your email because I'll be sending some stuff. But yeah, it's awesome to see you guys. See you most likely on September 30th. Thank you guys.
Everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Start of school.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Haley.
Yeah,
Thank you,
good luck.
Colleen.